Welcome to the program Improve Seeds and Animals on your darling station, RCN Television Abuja. I am Hilda Homsem Frantuam. Many homes in Nigeria depend on root crops as their food and means of survival based on their tradition. Tuber crops like yam is such crop that is grown all over the country. The NCRI was saddled with the responsibilities to develop research in improving yielding of yam through seedlings. Having yam as one of their mandate crops, NCRI Umuduke took us all round and enlightened us more on yam.
And it's a pleasure to be on the TV to talk about the much I know about yams. You're welcome to NRCRI Umudike, and this is the home of yams because that's part of our basic mandate, yam crop research. We are actually in the yam crossing block, okay? By yam crossing block, I mean in the genetic development, genetic advancement of varieties, it starts from here, where you make crosses. What we call pollination in the common biology, where you bring the male pollen and dust on the stigma of the female flower. Now, it might interest you to know that yams flower. And yes, it flowers and produces botanic seed. So what we are doing here is, we have yams that naturally express female flowering, the yams that naturally express male flowering. And you know, in any crop advancement scheme, you have traits of interest. So we have actually selected some female parents with specific traits of interest, and we combine it with some male traits of interest. And in that process, the seeds that come up, we pass through the clonal evaluation and breeding cycle before a variety is released. This is a process that takes an average of 8 to 10 years. Now, you have to start early. You need to plant the seeds quite early. So what we have here is the crossing block. If you can see the crossing block, we have 28D alata females and 8D alata females. If you look down there, you see the alata, Dioscorea alata, the water yam, and up here you see Dioscorea rotundata, the water yam. Now, at some point in this field, the female flowers will start expressing. And we are looking at those expressions coming up as far as up to September. And when the female flowers come up, we have specific males that we have actually selected that produce pollens elsewhere. And we transfer those pollens to this field and make those crosses. And how I wish it was time for crossing, you would have seen the technicians making all those crosses. So now the product of those crosses will produce the botanic seeds. And that's the botanic seed that will start the text for selection, which is a long process. Now, of course, you will see that all agronomic practices has actually been done here. We have a gram set of above 200 grams that was planted here, because if you want floral expression, you need some high sets. Of course, you could plant some mini set, but the chance of producing flowers is very minimal. So you need some level of vigor to pick up for floral expression. So we go minimum of 200 grams. And beyond that, you need to plant when yams are supposed to be planted. I can see these yams were planted at as far back as 1st of April. So that's why it's having this full vegetative development. And of course, you need to select the best of soils for yam. You know, it's a natural process. The farmers in the villages know that. You don't plant yam on degraded soil. And all management and agronomic practices like weeding, staking, and basically what we do by staking is that when you stake, you expose the leaves to sun interception. Yeah, this is staking, the wooden stake. Well, it depends on what happens in what's obtainable in agroecology. The most important thing about staking is so that the yam leaves are not on the ground and exposes them to soil-borne diseases. And at the same time, you know, when the yam leaves are expressed on stakes, the higher photosynthetic efficiency, you know, photosynthesis. Okay, when the soil intercepts on the leaf, the process of sink source, where the food is manufactured and transported down below to produce the bulking of the tubers. So you must allow the plants to have that full expression of sunlight. So prevent diseases and ensures bulking of tubers underground. So you need to do that, and we do this trailing. This is not a conventional practice, but we do this trailing because these ones, because this is a crossing block. The yams will overlap, and we plant similar cultivars together. So when they overlap, flowers will be expressed on these trails. So it's kind of support for the flowers, because when the flowers start coming and bulking, it carries some weight. So for the farmers, they're not interested in the botanic seeds. So the farmers don't really need this in terms of trailing, because this is a crossing scheme. That's why we are doing this. Of course, we are looking at both yield and post-harvest qualities in terms of disease resistance, maturity period, organoleptic qualities, browning, tuber browning, okay, dry matter, okay, starch quality, okay, nutrient and micronutrients as well. So now when you see potentials of individuals that can produce those candidates by crossing, it's like when you see a man and you see a woman. I want to have a very tall. So you predict, and that's what we do in the selection process. By the time we finish these crosses, we have a huge number of seeds. Now you need to test these seeds. You need to subject them to test. You need to put them in the field and see actually what you feel you should get. Are you actually getting them? And then the ones that are meeting up to those targets, you select. The ones that are not meeting up, you drop. And that selection process is what leads to releasing of yam variety.
Today, I'm going to be demonstrating the best methods of planting yams on the heap. Various methods, and I'll show you the one that is the best. My own personal opinion, and I'll give you reasons why. Many persons don't really know how to plant yams in the heap. So we're going to be demonstrating today how yams are planted in the heap. I'm going to be demonstrating 5 different methods for 3 major types of seedlings. This is a mini tuber, is a seedling. But I'm going to be demonstrating how to plant this in 3 ways. This is another form of seed yam that we've demonstrated before. We've even showed us how to get this in our previous videos. Please do well to watch that video. Then this is another form of seedling. It's a large tuber that was split into sects. So this is a particular kind of sect. You see, there are exposed surfaces and there is the surface that can grow. We are going to be showing us how these ones can be placed in the ground, but I will start with the mini tuber. There are 3 different ways to plant this. You can either plant it vertically. It will just be slanting a little because the vine is going to grow upwards against gravity, obviously. You can plant it in such a way that it will be horizontal, and you can plant it in a reverse form such that the head is tilting downwards, whereas the tail will be going upwards. I'll be demonstrating the 3 as we get along. There are instruments that you need for planting in heaps. You can either use a shovel, which is very easy, or the special hole that was used to design the heap. This is very, very unique. In less than 1 hour, I can use this to plant about 200 heaps of yams in less than an hour because it's very, very fast, especially when you know exactly what to do. So I'll be demonstrating with the 2 instruments. In case you don't have this, of course, shovels are always readily available. So method 1 is to just put your shovel or your spade into the heap so that the whole blade will be embedded in the soil at an angle, and just open up. You open up, then you place your tuber down in the vertical form. This is what I have done. The vertical method, then I will just close up. For some persons, they will just add a little extra soil, and that is it. For dry weather or during the dry season, all you just need to do is to just take debris and mulch. When you mulch, you take a little bit of soil and place on top. The purpose of this is to prevent wind from blowing it off. That is just enough, especially during the dry season. But during the rainy season, this is around early May. I don't need this anymore. So it has already started raining. I'll just get that out of the way so that rain can come on it and it can start growing on time. That's method one. But this method has a disadvantage. This is hip. I will show us in a few seconds the disadvantage of this. With time, the rain can wash off this, and when it starts growing, the roots will be exposed because the head of the tuber you planted is facing upwards. So once it washes down, it can easily be exposed. Some person said put it deep down. Yes, some person may not even know how to gauge how deep you should put. But well, if you want to choose this method, the minimum you should go is about 5 inches deep down, and it should not be, of course, more than 7 inches deep down. This one has the advantage of having enough room to actually form tuber and all that, but there's also a disadvantage of the tuber not getting rotten on time when it has started growing, because without the tuber getting rotten, you won't really have tuberization forming. This is method one. Now, having seen the disadvantage of the first method, I want to show us another method that is a little bit advantageous compared to the one I've earlier demonstrated. Same way, you can use your shovel. I used my shovel the first time, but I also want to demonstrate how to use this instrument. You see that the hole is angulated such that you can just put it in once and open up. This time around, I'm going to plant in a horizontal manner such that my tuber will just be horizontal this way, the vine will go this way, and all the roots will spread radially while the tuber will be formed this way. So this is what I will do. I'll just place it horizontal and cover. This way, I'm able to bury the head a little deeper than the first one. And of course, rain washing this topsoil will not easily expose the root. This is the third method. I'll go to this third heap. This is what I'm going to do again. I'll do this, open it up, but this time around, I'm not going to put it vertical so that the head will be facing up. I'm not going to do horizontal. I'm going to face the head a little downward. The vine will still grow this way, but I'll tell you the advantage. The advantage is that the head is more deeply buried. Even if you don't get the amount of inches you are supposed to, go deep and all that, it will still help you preserve the head so that the roots that are going to be formed will be deeply buried. No matter the amount of washing of your hip and all that, the root will hardly ever be exposed. Some persons may find this funny, but this is actually the best. With the tail tilting up, even if the tail is exposed, it's still advantageous because it can easily get rotten, and of course you have large room for tuberization below. So this is the best way to place your seedling of such nature. So I'm going to put it down, the head face down, not completely vertically down, but slightly down. So this is what I will do. I'll cover. Sometimes the tail can even be exposed. Once the rain comes, it will wash it and it might even be exposed out.
Dicoria spp, known as yam, is a starchy, stable form of tuber produced annually and is a perennial vine within Africa and part of the world. Yam comes in different varieties, ranging from white Guinea yam, water yam, among others. In West Africa and Nigeria, to be precise, it's a major source of income and high cultural value. It's mostly used in ceremonies and festivals. Yams are grown by planting pieces of tuber and recently through flowers. The yielding of the crop is affected by pests such as tuber beetles, meaty bugs, tuber roots, among others. Yams grows within the months of February to April and between 180 to 270 days, and of course in accordance to good weather, soil, and a lot of care. Yam is rich in fiber, carbohydrates, vitamins, and other essential minerals. Yam can be boiled, fried, dried as powder, and produced as pastries.
After sun dry, you can sun dry. Once you start sun drying, it's okay. You can continue sun drying the next day, but you must do other ones the same day. Then this is yam. We have yam flour, yam fruit, yam flour, butter yam, we have butter yam flour, we have butter yam milk, butter yam bread. Sweet potatoes, we are able to produce sweet potato flour, sweet potato cake.
Thank you for watching. I remain Hilda Holmesem, front from saying keep watching ARCN TV.